Tonight we are getting ready to enter the final quarter of Sun Devil hockey season. The last 2 weeks have yielded some frustrating results, but there's no changing the past, only preparing for the next test. One where Sun Devil Nation can provide an advantage that this team badly needs at this stage here at home. Hi, everybody. Welcome into Season 4, Episode 8 of Hell Frozen Over, your source for the latest Sun Devil hockey news and notes. We are streaming tonight on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app. I'm Tyler Paley, the team's play-by-play broadcaster, live from Mullet Arena in Tempe. And joining me tonight and every show this year are Arizona State head coach Greg Powers and my broadcast partner, Alex Coil. Gentlemen, good evening. Coach, before we get into hockey, I don't know about you, but it's my favorite week of the year. You got the Super Bowl coming up, which also means the WM Phoenix Open just down the road in Scottsdale. You have any plans to go this year?
Perhaps.
Really?
Yeah.
Which
perhaps.
day?
If I go, it'll be tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I won't go Thursday. Too close to game day, and
Yep.
then I've been humping it today and yesterday. And my wife wants to go. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That'd be
try
fun.
to keep her happy.
Do you try to go each year?
I think I've been once in the last 5,
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
twice in the last 10. It's chaos,
It really is.
but it's fun when you go, and it depends if I get enough done tomorrow, and
Fair.
obviously after practice we'll see.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll see you out there. I won't,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll say maybe, right? And we can always hold out
Tyler
some hope.
frequents 16.
Yeah, right. All right, let's dive into our usual recap here of the series behind us. We'll begin with North Dakota. A frustrating loss in Game 1, no question, especially in a game where it felt, I think to many of us, like the game was a lot closer than the final score indicated. A lot of things seemed to be clicking for your team in that one. In your assessment, what ended up going wrong in that game to cause the loss?
We just couldn't keep it out of our net. It seems like everything they shot went in, and credit to the kid that was here. He played really good. He made some big saves, and but we still scored 4 goals, and that has to be enough to win, especially at home. And it just wasn't. So it was a weekend where we really struggled to keep the puck out of our net after a few weeks of really good, solid defensive hockey and good results in that area, but. Against a team that deep, you have to take pride in defending and managing pucks to defend and doing all the right things and playing the right way, and we just didn't do it.
Second night, you guys jump out, you get a lead. You're playing and forcing them to be back on their heels. And then it starts to be a parade to the box a little bit. And as we've noted, even last weekend, the depth, right, you have forced a lot of your top guys to kill off penalties.
Yep.
How much of that gets a snowball effect rolling to where if you have to kill too much, you just run out of energy?
It's everything. I mean, that's the absolute microcosm of what happened to us Saturday against CC. But it's something that we're going to work on this week and really rep some other guys on the kill. Kids like Tony Akili that can do it. Braxton Whitehead obviously would have been huge for us Saturday because he can kill. Tucker can kill up and back. So we're going to use more guys on the kill moving forward because we are so thin, and we need to save guys like Shim and Mo and guys that we need to lean on for some offense. So that's definitely a change that you can expect.
You made a comment last Tuesday that UND made us better and exposed some things about your team that you felt you needed to work on. I was intrigued because it got me thinking about all of the teams that you guys face in general. How much do you think the quality of your opponents in the NCHC and more broadly affects your preparation the following week and just in general?
I think it shows. There's blatant results that show. Like, we got an NCHC play, and it's so hard every weekend. Yeah. It's so hard. Every game is so. I mean, this is the best league in college hockey, bar none. And you start NCHC play, and then your non-conference Ohio State, we sweep. We go to Dartmouth, we split. We blitz the Desert Classic. So you go 5-1 in your non-conference slate during conference play. And I think a big reason for that is because we were weathered. We were seasoned by the incredible competition. Teams that we've played: Duluth, North Dakota, Denver, CC. Everybody that we played in and around those 6 games, and we went 5-1. And I'm convinced it was because our league makes us better.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I am curious. There have been some moments recently where It seems like calls haven't gone in your favor, highlighted by the
You're going to try and get me in trouble again?
No, I promise. I
already got in trouble.
Listen to the wording of this. I was very deliberate when I was writing this question. Of course, it was highlighted by the ejection, non-ejection, right, in the North Dakota game. My question is, how do you balance advocating for your team while still managing a relationship with these officials? Is there a formal process for addressing those situations during the season?
It's a great question, and if I had the answer,
I wouldn't have to ask it.
And I don't.
Got it.
You know,
Sure.
I think that's every coach has issues with officiating.
Sure.
There's not one in the country that doesn't, and they're humans. They're all good guys. They're humans at the end of the day. They're going to make mistakes. We're going to have disagreements. They do the best job they can. I think that's just the high road way to answer that question.
Fair.
But am I frustrated with the last 3 weeks? You bet your ass I am.
And I would assume there are conversations that you and other coaches can have in the off season to perhaps enhance officiating.
We're
right?
currently working with a few coaches on what that looks like.
Got
yes.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
good to know. Some people
want to have a very
to.
productive, constructive conversation in Naples and try to make it better for everybody.
And that should always be the goal. I want to go back to the CC series. Game 1 against CC. After we of course faced North Dakota, hit the road to Colorado College. Second time that your team faced the Tigers this year. Game 1 started out great. You took the lead, and then you took the lead again, including that 3-goal advantage heading into the third. CC comes back to force overtime. Your team did get the win thanks to Joel Schellberg's goal on a great feed from Bennett Shimmick. How do you square the overtime victory with the frustration of having to go to OT to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, it cost us a point, right? I was not happy after that game. It honestly felt like we lost.
Yeah.
And I think our guys felt the same way because it's been that kind of repeated for whatever reason, And to be honest, like we took control of the game after they cut it to 5-3. They didn't have any momentum. They didn't have any sustained pressure. We managed pucks. We were putting pucks in behind them. We were playing on our toes, and then, double jeopardy happened.
Yeah.
And we took 2 penalties at the same whistle. And do I agree with that? No, I do not. I do not agree that the second should have been called. And in defense of the official, he did not know that the first one was called. So, so in his defense, that's why that happened, and it is what it is. And credit to CC. They had a 2-minute opportunity to tie it up with a 5-on-3, and they did it. And our guys could have crumbled. I think credit to our guys because that's a tough situation mentally to give up a 3-goal lead on the road. The place is jumping, the crowd's into it. Now we're on our heels because of it, and our guys found a way to get a win.
Yeah, and it has locked it down at that point as well.
And again, you got to win in overtime. You guys have been fantastic in OT this year. You're tied for the country's lead in OT wins. Have another if you include the shootout victory. What makes you guys so effective in that stance?
We worked on it. I mean, I thought overtime last year was our Achilles heel.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, probably the reason we didn't get in. We didn't win many games in overtime, which if I to a fault, and I got to change this about myself, but if you look at all the overtime losses last year, there wasn't an overtime loss where we didn't have a grade A first. We had a grade A in every overtime loss, and then there were some that other teams barely touched the puck, and then they get one rush and we lose. So it was just really trying to educate this year's team on that, and we practiced it a ton and really tore it apart in preseason to prep for the season. And then once you start getting into it and you win some, the guys just have confidence playing in it, and we have a lot of skill and a lot of creativity and a lot of speed and kids that can make plays with more space, more time, and we've done really well with it.
And when you have guys that can make moves like Bennett on that across the goal, that was fantastic. Yep.
Game 2 against CC felt different to me, at least from the onset, with the Tigers, of course, peppering Sam Urban with shots in the first period, slowed down a bit as the game went on, but they kept your team in your own zone for a lot of the game. I'm wondering if you can take us either inside the locker room between periods or even on the bench. What are you guys as a coaching staff saying to make those in-game adjustments and try to tilt the ice back in your favor?
Well, I mean, the first period was a really big disappointment, right? And our guys, look, we are thin. We're not using it as an excuse, but we are. Friday took a lot out of our guys. It was the back-to-back in altitude. It's always tough there on Saturday. And if people think that the altitude isn't a factor, they're wrong.
It is.
Our guys were feeling it. Like, they were feeling it. And credit to CC. They were really good in the first period. We had to kill off 3 penalties. That really tired our guys out. Herbs held us in it. Even in the first, we had 3 grade A's to tie it, and we didn't. They obviously controlled the period. And then in the second, we came out and took 3 straight penalties, and it just absolutely gassed our team to the point where we just didn't have any gas in the tank,
Sure.
and our guys did everything that they could. Herbs held us in the game. He gave us a chance to win. We had a power play down 1-0 halfway through the game, didn't capitalize. Should have probably got a 5-on-3 because their center played it with his hand, but they didn't see it. So we didn't get the 5-on-3 that we needed, and CC was really good. They were the better team that night. They deserved to win.
Yeah.
How much are, obviously it's painful to go through these, but when you look at the roster, and that transfer portal exists, of course, but the way it's constructed right now, 4 guys are going to leave due to eligibility. You have a big core coming back. How much are these the Friday night losing a big lead and finding a way to learn how to win games? How much are these situations going to help you next year and years down the road?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we have some young kids that are getting great experience, great reps. Whether it's Logan Morrell as a sophomore who doesn't play like a sophomore, Sammy Alfano's really coming into his own and playing some great hockey for us. Carmelo Crandall, so I think we're going to see Ben Cavan take a big step here in these last 8 games and get more opportunities. So the list goes on and on. Everybody knows how young our D-core is. They're going to continue to get their reps. So it's exciting that we have a team. We're still fighting for home ice. We're right there. We're one really good weekend away from putting ourselves right back in that home ice conversation,
Sure.
assuming North Dakota takes care of business against Duluth. If they do that and we have a good weekend, we're right there.
How proud are you to see guys like Bennett Shimmick and Cruz Lucius still, at this stage in the season, among the top 5 scorers in the country?
Yeah, I mean, they've been great for us all year, and 2 of the best players I've ever had here, and
Sure.
it's with them on the ice in an ASU jersey, we have a chance every night to beat everybody. And look at the North Dakota series. Friday it felt we had more expected goals. It felt like it was a game that was winnable. And then Saturday, 3-1 lead late in the second. So we were right there against them. We split against Miami, lost in overtime, and then went to CC and split. Like, we're right there. And a big reason for that is when those 2 guys are sharp and they're playing the way they need to, they give us a chance to win every night.
Especially with how much they've handled of different line mates. Potter goes down when they're probably playing like the best line in the country. It has to be a calming factor down the line chart to see those leaders handle it the way they have.
It is, and I think that when in the games that we've figured out to win, is when they realize that they don't always even have to score.
Sure.
That their B game's really good. They're 2 of the only plus forwards that we have. And so they're bought into not getting scored against. And when they play that way, we really have a chance to beat everybody.
I brought up both goaltenders, and both had been and frankly have been playing so well. Really, the second half of the slate of games you've played so far. But obviously, the last 2 weekends, the stats wouldn't necessarily paint that picture. How do you keep their confidence and their spirits high when they have been playing pretty well, but, I'm sure they'd like a few back over the course of their each of their last 2 starts. But how do you keep them high?
I think Haz for sure would be the first to tell you that in his last 2 starts he would like the third periods back.
Sure.
And the first 2 have been really good. He's a great goalie. He's been really good for us all year. He'd be the first to own that. Herbs really has been lights out. I can't point to his game on Saturday and fault him for anything. And they scored a goal a period, and the last 2, none of the 3 were even close to his.
Right.
We got to be better in front of both of them. It's as simple as that. And that's my message to them. They're doing their job. They're doing what they have to do. Everybody in this room is held accountable, and including the goalies. When the goalies don't perform up to my expectations, I tell them. But
Sure.
these guys have, and I can't pin really any one loss on either kid all year.
Last one before we head to break. Overall, you just shared your message with the two goaltenders, but as you enter the final quarter of your season now, you mentioned that you guys are right in the thick of it still. What's the vibe? What's the message to your team with 8 games to go?
That's just it. Like it's last week it was we have a 10-game season. The goal is to go 1-0 on Friday, right? And then again 1-0 on Saturday. It's the same thing this week. So it's an 8-game season, 1-0 on Friday, big 3 points on the line. We have between 4 and 9. It is so tight. Yeah. We have 2 games in hand on 3 of those teams. So this weekend is you could easily say this is the biggest weekend of the season.
Yeah.
And it's at home, and it's against a good team in St. Cloud that's in the same position we are, that's really fighting to get points, and we're all fighting to get into that 4-5 spot for playoffs, and this weekend is going to be a big factor in that.
Sun Devil Hockey's second to last home series this weekend against St. Cloud State. We'll, of course, preview ASU series, next few series, including that one coming up in the third period. Up next, Sun Devil Swiss Army Knife. Tucker Ness joins us for the show for a great conversation that we're looking forward to. That is next here on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Thanks for sticking with us for the second period of Hell Frozen Over, our hour-long show talking all things Sun Devil hockey. We are live from the ASU locker room here at Mullet Arena. Our next show after this one, Tuesday, February 17th at 6 p.m. We certainly hope you can tune in then. Loyalty is a hot topic in today's college sports landscape, and it means something different to everyone. But it's impossible to question Sun Devil defenseman Tucker Ness's loyalty to ASU. He's finishing up his 4th year on the team, does anything the team asks of him, from sitting in the bleachers one game to suiting up as a centerman the next, and making a major impact off the ice every single day. Tuck joins us now on Hell Frozen Over for the first time ever, if you can believe it. Appreciate you joining us, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So since you're so willing to jump in anywhere that you're needed, Alex actually will be missing the Denver series coming up later this month. So if you're not busy, I could use a broadcast
Yeah, count
partner.
me in.
All right, sounds good. So play center, and then maybe second period you can head up.
Between shifts.
Yeah. I want to start kind of big picture before diving into this season in particular. What has being a Sun Devil meant to you for the last 4 years?
It means everything to me. It's just everything about this place I've fell in love with from the day I got here, and it hasn't changed. From the players that I've met throughout all 4 years, the coaches, the staff, everything, just it means everything. We have a motto, be the tradition, and just really embracing that. Everything about this place is incredible, and I've loved every part of it.
Is there anything that have you gotten a chance to kind of reflect on your memories yet, or are you very much still locked in on this season and the game ahead? Yeah,
no, I'm just trying to stay locked in as much as I can. We got, like Coach was just saying, an 8-game season left, and just trying to embrace that.
Fair. You have made some memories here, big and small, good and bad, I suppose. I wonder if one or two come to mind as defining moments in your time at Arizona State.
Well, I think I know what would come to mind for you.
Well, we'll get to that. I promise you we'll get to that. I've been waiting years to ask you about that. But hey, anything just comes top of mind for you.
Yeah, one that sticks out, probably my favorite games that I've played here was our playoff series last year. It was incredible. The crowd, the boys, Kurz's overtime win, everything about that game was just incredible.
That was unbelievable. That's one of the defining ones for me, too.
As your career has gone on, it seems like you've been more and more integral in the culture of this building. Why does it gravitate to you in that way? Why is it important to you to be a leader, to be someone that always takes the younger guys under your wing?
I think that's just kind of what this place does to you.
Sure.
It's, everybody brings you in so well, and it started with the older guys my year, and then you kind of just embrace that as the years go on, and it just really makes it easy with all the resources that we get here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to bring it up. So something that brought you a bit of national attention a couple years back was up in Fairbanks. Tensions high, and you went at it with one of the Alaska players late in the game. Let me phrase it like this. I wonder if you can expand on what you've learned since that event as a hockey player, as a teammate, as just a person in general after going through that.
Yeah, that's always going to be a part of my game. It was before here. It can't really be a part of it much here, but it will be when I'm gone. And, I've learned a lot, and I knew it wasn't easy for my coach to deal with, so I apologize to him for that. But, it's a good memory, and I know you enjoyed it. So
Thoroughly.
I'll be honest, I was panicked on the broadcast because I didn't know that was the first time I had ever seen a fight in college hockey. And I had no idea how we should be covering it. I was like, should I be excited about this? Should I be terrified? Should we go to break? Alex is sitting there like cracking up. He was having the time of his life. And I'm just like, I think I'm going to lose my job for this somehow. Still here, at least as of now.
But you've, quickly to follow up, you've kind of morphed that. You say it's, obviously that can't be a part of your game. But you're still mixing it up with the opponent. You're still finding ways. And one of my favorite things last few games is you found a way to get your opponent to commit a penalty. How obviously with your role changing and all of that stuff, you still have ways that you can get the edge into the game, right?
Yeah. Coach talks about discipline all the time, and it's a big factor, trying to get under players' skin, but there's a fine line there with not drawing a penalty and trying to draw penalties your way. We have such a good power play with Cruz and Shim and those guys, so anytime we get them on the ice, it's a big deal.
Or even if you're committing a penalty, you might as well take a guy in there with you.
Right.
It happened in the North Dakota series.
Right. It was, you were going in the box and you ended up taking, or somebody was going in the box and you ended up taking him with you, so that was pretty impressive. You scored your first collegiate goal up at Dartmouth earlier this year, back in December. How special was that moment?
It was awesome. I didn't really do a ton of work on that play. Cruz made an unbelievable play. Potsy and Shim had a great net drive, but it was really cool. I didn't know if it was ever going to come. So. And
then you scored your second, just 2 weeks ago against North Dakota.
Former roommate, right?
Yep, former roommate. I gave him a little bit of crap for that. But.
I saw your little head nod toward him during warm-ups and such. Yeah. It was like, hey man, I'm sure it was, you're a buddy, but not today.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yep.
There is little doubt in my mind that when your opponent sees Tucker Ness in the lineup, they probably get a few extra ice bags prepared. Is the physical style of your game something that has always been a part of how you've played, and do you see that as something that kind of sets you apart from, a standard hockey player?
It's always a part of the game in any sense. I think everybody can kind of have a little aspect of it, whether it's more or less than the next guy. But, it's kind of always been the way that I've played the game. Growing up, I was always a bigger kid, and I have a older brother who used to, beat me up in knee hockey and stuff, so that kind of toughened me up growing up. But, like I said, I was a bigger kid, so I always tried to use that to my advantage, and it's just always carried through.
What is obviously, you're a defenseman by trade, but you've also multiple times in your collegiate career dressed as a forward and made an impact there. What's the difference in mindset when you're on a deep pairing versus on the line chart as a forward?
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of not being as skilled as the other guys and just using the physicality to a sense. Whether it's forward or D, I know my role. I know it's to go out there and run into a lot of things and be simple and get pucks north and stuff like that. So whether it's forward or D, I'm happy to do it anywhere.
And in all seriousness, why are you so willing to jump in and play anywhere? Do you just want to be on the ice, or is it like something else driving your desire to do that?
I think it's just winning. I care about this program a lot, and winning's a lot of fun here. And anything I can do to help the team win, I'm happy to do.
We asked Coach Powers this actually 2 weeks ago, and I also asked a similar version to Logan Morrell. He always talks about how you guys take things one game at a time, and I think that's great, and it's a great approach. But you guys also aren't naive to kind of the standings and the big picture, right? How do you balance the one game at a time mentality with being realistic about what you guys need to do down the stretch here in the final 8 games? Yeah,
I think as they would have as anybody would have answered it, it's just one game at a time. All we're worried about right now is going 1-0 on Friday. That's the big picture for us. You can't look too far ahead because you don't really know what's going to happen. But we know that we got St. Cloud coming in here on Friday. They're a good team, and we're going to have to be at our best to beat them.
Now, with that said, how important do you feel like this next stretch of 8 games is for the future and the postseason?
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest series of the year for us. This is a huge 6 points on the line, and we're looking to come out of here with them.
St. Cloud comes to town this weekend. In my view, kind of a sneaky good team. Like, they weren't necessarily picked towards the top, but they have kind of come on in the second half of the year. From an individual perspective and a team perspective, what do you feel like you need to do to secure, a win on Friday and then worry about Saturday?
Yeah, they're a good team. A lot of Minnesota guys, a lot of guys I grew up playing against.
Sure. Such as who?
Grant Deshawn was a teammate of mine for a while. Mason Reiners and Cooper Wiley, I played with them in Waterloo. So
extra hits for them this weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. But no, all jokes aside, I think it's just focusing on us. Just playing our game, getting pucks in deep, in the O-zone, getting pucks between the dots with a good net front presence. All that stuff is going to help us win.
Hopefully we do have a chance to get you back on before the season ends. But on the chance that we don't, what's next for Tucker Ness? Like, do you want to keep playing hockey when your time at ASU is over, or have you thought about that at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to continue playing hockey. Like I was saying earlier, I'm just focused on right now in this season and our 8 games that we have left plus playoffs. But, yeah, I'm going to keep playing for as long as I can and, maybe drop the gloves when it comes to that time.
Let's go!
I cannot wait to have those videos. Cannot wait to see it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. I know this team is truly soaking up every last game with you. It's been an absolute blast getting to know you on a personal level, and truly such a loyal teammate and friend to this program. So thanks for everything you've done, and excited to see the next 8 games you've got in you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you spending time with us. Good luck this weekend, and we'll chat with you Friday soon.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, when we return to Help Frozen Over on this Tuesday night, Coach Powers rejoins the show for the third period to help us preview St. Cloud State and then Western Michigan. Third period right around the corner here on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Back in Tempe for the third period, you're listening to Hell Frozen Over live on the Mountain America Credit Union Sun Devil Radio Network from Mullet Arena tonight. Our next show, Tuesday, February 17th, so we hope you make plans to listen to us live here on Fox Sports 910. Coach, we just wrapped up with Tucker Ness, the only guy on your roster right now who's finishing up his 4th year at ASU. What has he meant to you just as a person and as a team as a whole?
Yeah, I think the best thing I could say about Tucker that people on the outside don't know, but they could probably gather just by his demeanor and just everything about him, is how good of a person he is.
Yeah.
And how good of a teammate he is. Just the model human being. He's got a heart of gold, right? Yeah. And that's the best way I can describe him. He's a gentle giant off the ice, and on the ice, he's a complete animal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what gets you respect in this game.
Yeah, and he's such a teddy bear. Like I remember him, distinctly. It was our first year doing the radio side of this, and he was a freshman, came right up, introduced himself. Like I vividly remember that, and it makes such an impression to do something so small and go out of your way.
Yeah, he's a kid that he'll just be an incredible alum forever. Yeah. And we've had some battles through 4 years, right? Because he's so hard on the ice, and you constantly remind him to take a log off the fire. But off the ice, the kid, I can't say enough good things about him. Yeah, I wish I could clone his character and his ability to be a caring, loving, supportive teammate the way he is.
He is, he's one of a kind. We'll be sad to see him go, but no, he's on to bigger and better things in his future. All right, back to kind of the task at hand. If you don't mind, can we do our weekly injury report? I know Braxton Whitehead missed Saturday's game. Can you give us an update on him, and then anybody else we should keep an eye out for?
I think he's likely out this weekend. We'll know a little bit more later in the week, but we don't think it'll be long term. If he's out, it'll probably be just through this weekend. So other than that, we got through CC without anybody else getting hurt.
Does that concern you at all, or I guess what are you planning for as far as your bench size?
Because again, we have 7 D and 12 forwards, and people forget last year in our big stretch run through the end of the season, Tucker played forward.
That's right.
He is effective, and there's pieces of me that thinks he's a better center than he is a D, and he was really good for us on the back end this year, because when you have that kid trucking down your back and you're going to retrieve a puck and he's forechecking, like, good luck. You're not gonna want to be first to touch. He's gonna finish every check. He's got a good nose for the net. He's good on face-offs. He can kill penalties up front. he's a really good fourth line center. It doesn't set us back even a little bit. We're going to miss Brax because Brax is playing good hockey, but Tucker's more than capable up there.
I couldn't agree more. I think he's fun to watch too.
Yeah.
I mean, quite honestly. But that means no healthy scratches.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to keep everybody healthy at this point.
I mean, look,
it's hard,
I said today, like in media, like, I mean, people can make what they make of it. Look, we're bummed that Klutz isn't here. He got really sick, and he had to go home. Zem made a decision. Great kid that he wanted to go play more. He was kind of our 9th D, and we got 8 of them here. So it is what it is. Johnny, obviously, we wish him all the best, and it is what it is. But we have what we need, and I know that, the guys know that, and there's something to be said for a good, positive vibe in a room where everybody's playing.
Sure.
That's very fair.
And right now, that's the case. Everybody in here is playing. Everybody here has a role. Everybody in here needs to pull the same, to push and pull in the same direction to get where we want to get to, and to have success. And that's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. Before we dive into your next 2 series, in fact, I wanted to get your thoughts on the outdoor game that we saw last weekend at Beaver Stadium between Penn State and Michigan State. First of all, what'd you think? And is that something you would ever push to have come here to Arizona?
I think Graham and JD, our administrator, probably wanted to mute me by the end of the weekend.
That's so
with
cool.
With the amount of text that I sent them.
We should do this.
And I've been saying we need to get an outdoor game at Sun Devil Stadium for a long time.
Yeah.
Worked in Tampa.
And I think how cool it looked and how good of a job they did putting it on, and the coverage that it got. I think I finally have Graham and ASU's attention on potentially looking into this.
Okay.
So hey, before I'm done here, we're going to have an outdoor game.
You'll put it on yourself if you have to.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be so cool. That would be
awesome.
sick. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, because this happened in the 2-week span that we were off from shows, is about Josh Doan. He signed a 7-year extension with an average annual value of $7 million.
Yep.
How psyched were you for Doner?
So psyched. He texted me before it came out and said it was going to happen, and he said we can finally play for money on the golf course. And I'm like, Donor, you realize like you making a month now what I'm making a year, pretty much, right? So you can pay for the golf,
right? Yeah, seriously, I'm not
and
betting
the beers
anything.
after.
Yeah, seriously.
But so happy for him.
That's so cool.
He's the epitome of what we want our kids to be, just from a human being standpoint. And he's obviously made a really good career for himself, and he's just getting started.
I'm so happy for him. Back to the road ahead here. Next up is St. Cloud State, one of 2 NCHC teams that we as a group have not seen yet this year, and they seem to be making a real strong late-season push. What should we know about this Huskies team?
They're really good. Their top line is as good as any in the country. Gross and Bernovic are really dangerous, and when their goalie's hot, he's really, really good. They were able to supplement with D-Corps, where they lost some good players with some good side of the portal, and it looks like they've got some kids playing really well for him. Brett is an unbelievable guy. He's a great coach. He's done an incredible job with that program. We went up there last year and swept them, so I know that they probably haven't forgotten that, and we're going to get their very best when they come down.
It feels like it's 2 teams that are going to play with a ton of desperation, too, because they just got swept at home by Miami, and obviously how much it means to this program, too.
Yeah, they're a point in front of us, right? So, I mean, one team with a really good weekend could create some good separation from the other. And like I said, we're still eyeballing number 4, and I'm sure they are too, and so is Miami, and so is CC. So is Omaha. That's how tight it is, right? And so what an opportunity for us and for St. Cloud. I think it's going to be an unbelievably competitive weekend.
Yeah, it should be really fun. After St. Cloud, and I know you're only focused on Friday, but we won't have a show until after this series. We hit the road to Kalamazoo for a series with the defending national champion Western Michigan Broncos. We've heard so much about that environment at Lawson. It's obvious that how good Western is again this year. How much are you looking forward to that trip?
It's going to be great. I think people forget we've actually been there.
Yeah.
We went there in our very first full season as a Division I team. Andy Murray was the coach. Joey was a freshman, and it was his first back-to-back starts that he got. He was really good on Friday. I think Western was ranked 5th.
Okay.
And on Saturday, he was unbelievable. We beat him in 3-on-3 overtime.
Wow.
And it was a really good win for us in our infant stages. And the Lawson Lunatics are as good of a student section as there is in college hockey. I have more than words can express the respect level for Furch and his staff and what they've done. So we're really looking forward to going there.
That'll be, as conference foes, the last building that you'll go to for the first time. Do you have a favorite spot on the road in the conference?
Gosh, every building's so much fun to play in.
It is.
The Ralph was great this year. But I think the best building to play in is Magnus, as an opponent. We love going to Denver.
have a couple good wins there, too. Huh?
Yeah, you get some good memories last year, but we also have some really bad ones.
Fair.
Trust me. As we've grown, DC's been great to our program. We've played Denver a lot, and as we've grown, they've helped us grow, and so we've gone there a lot. It's an easy trip.
Yeah.
But it's got a unique feel to it, and the fans are right on top of you, the steep and
90 degrees.
And it's just a really unique building. I think it's a tremendous college hockey building.
Good hotel too.
Great hotel.
Great hotel, good food,
fun trip.
good area. It's just a great trip.
Love that trip. I've been meaning to ask you about one of your defensive pairings. That's Brazen Bozer and Joel Shelberg. Anecdotally, I know Alex and I have talked so much about how much improvement we've seen from them year over year in particular, but also as this season has progressed. Each of them also averaging like 4 to 5 minutes more of ice time this year. What's your assessment on them as individuals and as a pairing?
Both the kids are unbelievable kids, and they've done such a good job for us. I mean, they're sophomores, and they're being played and they're being leaned on like they're seniors, and so they played a lot last year as freshmen, but they were able to be insulated by the Noah Becks and the Ty Murchisons and the Ethan Schmaggies, guys that are older that have been here. And this year we don't have any of them. Like Tuck's up and back. He's our oldest, D, and then Dowder's a junior. But other than that, they're all underclassmen. So they have been our top 2 D all year without the insulation of older guys that are guiding the way. And I know in my heart of hearts it's going to pay off, and it already has started to. But with the experience that those 2 kids, not only last year but especially this year, have gotten, I think next year you're going to see a huge step out of both of them.
How much has their progression and your trust in them that you have now gives you confidence and probably most importantly patience in the other group of young freshmen behind them?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, and you're seeing it already this year. Whether it's 2 first-year players like Mo and Nasher, like I said, Alfie, Crandall. There's a lot of young talent to be really excited about moving forward. Richie Barron has played a ton of minutes as a freshman on the back. So Kipper's he's leading the D-corps in points as a freshman. And it's taken big steps the last 2 months. So it's exciting. I think it's really promising, and the season's not over. We're still going after this thing like anybody's business. Like we still have goals, we still have belief, we still have the belief that we can get a good playoff position and try and make a push. But sometimes you have to take a couple steps back to take the ultimate steps forward. And that we went with youth this year, and we're convinced that it will pay off.
And you're in this position where those steps forward could happen in this 8-game stretch.
Absolutely. They're gonna, that's the thing. Like, you're shorthanded, you're down guys like Potsy and Beck and others, and now we have what we have. They're forced to step into roles and get a little bit uncomfortable, and it's the best thing for them in their development, and in turn, it's going to be great for our program.
With all that said, in the next 2 weeks, 12 more points on the line for your team. I know you're obviously focused on the single game ahead of you on Friday, but what do the combination of the next 4 games need to look like for ASU to remain in the hunt as you finish up February?
3 points on Friday.
Fair enough. I mean,
3 points on Friday.
I get
right?
it. Like, it is that simple.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like, we're not even thinking about Western Michigan.
Yeah,
right. I mean, these are going to be tough games, but every game in Mullet is winnable. That's we believe that. We know that because we've played everybody here, and we've won pretty much against everybody here. Obviously we didn't go our way against North Dakota, but we can beat anybody on any given night. We've proven that this year. We've beaten North Dakota at North Dakota. We've beaten Denver here. We've beaten Duluth at Duluth. So The guys know what it takes, and this is the biggest weekend of the season. It's as simple as that.
No better time for a win, and then you move on to Saturday, right? Yep. Coach Greg Powers with the latest on Hell Frozen Over. His Sun Devils hit the ice Friday and Saturday at home against St. Cloud State. You'll hear from him, of course, on our pregame coverage, which begins at 6:30 on Friday. Appreciate you as always, sir, and we will chat with you on Friday.
Thank you.
3 periods down, much more to come in our overtime segment. When we return, Alex and I will chat more about the path ahead for ASU. Stick with us. Overtime is next here on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Back at the Mullet for overtime here on Health Frozen Over. Tyler Paley, joined by my broadcast partner, Alex Coil. All right, listen, a couple frustrating weeks.
I'm listening.
No question. But when I got home from Colorado Springs, I just want to tell you this. All I could think was, you have to finish strong, right? It may sound simple, and yes, things are tighter, more challenging now, but what you do these final 8 games, I think, tells you a lot about the team's grit, and it matters because everything is still on the table.
Yeah. Well, and like you look again, we spoke about it in the post game on Saturday. You win that game in regulation, you're up 22, right? It's still volatile. It's still very close to all of the goals. And I think it's interesting from the team perspective. They truly just simply focused on the NCHC standings and setting themselves up best for the quarterfinals, whether that's on the road or if you're up to number 4 and you're able to host again, because if you take care of business on that front, the NPI is going to take care of itself. And, it starts – we circled this right after the Miami series as like, okay, obviously everybody loves North Dakota, and that's going to be a heated environment. But St. Cloud State is going to, because of the stakes it has for both teams, is the most important series of the season left on the schedule because of everything at stake.
Well, and just mathematically, right? Like mathematically, ASU is still not out of the question for the Penrose Cup. But if we're just being like realistic, it is more reasonable to think, okay, we can still get to that 3 or 4 spot, right? Like that would be a stretch to get all the way to 1. So we would rather them kind of cement their positions at 1, 2, and you battle for 3, 4 home ice, and then you can go on a run.
But also when you look at schedules, right? You look at what Duluth has left with playing North Dakota. You look at St. Cloud has to come to you. You play Omaha as well, which again they're in that thick of things, but they're the last place team right now.
CC has Denver this coming week.
Exactly. Yep. So you feel really good, especially if you're able to protect home ice, which means, like, again, 3 points on Friday is the ultimate focus.
And it's such a momentum booster into Saturday, right? I mean, that's been
something to get positive vibes back, right? Like playing well, winning a hockey game, especially if you're able to close it out and look good closing it out in a third period too.
I suppose what's most comforting in my mind about all of this is that the mission hasn't changed, right? It was the same when ASU was struggling to start this year. It remained the same when they started winning in North Dakota and beyond. It's still the same as we sit here tonight. Just win. It's simple, but it's what they continue to have to do.
Well, look, especially, at any point in the season, but it feels like we've been talking about that since before the Denver series, right? It was like, okay, like you're 3-7-1 for the.
What are you going to do?
Second consecutive year. Are you going to continue to make those same mistakes? Or are you going to go on one of those runs? And they did. They did. And as he mentioned, they've beaten everybody on their schedule, and especially some big wins on the road. So when they play their game, they're hard to beat, especially here.
What do you think is the most promising aspect that the team has put forward, in particular in the last 2 weeks?
I think its ability to find scoring, even though it's not coming from offensive pressure in the zone. I think the development and the improvement of the power play, especially, we knew it was good, but it went an 0 for 10, had a weekend where it went 15 minutes without scoring, and then you went 7 of 12 over the next 3 games, and so that's been able to win you hockey games. So I would say that part of it, because I don't remember a goal all weekend up in CC where it was from forechecking posture, from zone time, from generating and cycling the puck there. It was breakouts, it was power play. So being able to find offense from, even if you're not supporting.
It's a good one. I guess mine would be a little more high level, which is like preparing and the preparation in the weeks leading up to these series to be ready to go no matter who you're on a line with. I think overcoming the injuries and not only making lemonade out of lemons, but like making pretty good lemonade out of lemons. Like it feels like obviously we would love to see, Potsy and Becker back in the lineup, but it feels like, okay, like these guys are pretty legit even without two of their best players.
What kind of lemonade are we talking about? Sweet lemonade or a little more
sugar,
bitter?
Man.
Okay,
ton of sugar.
guy.
I'm a big sweet lemonade guy.
Okay.
Yeah, when it doesn't give me like heartburn.
Sure.
That's,
I'm more of a pink lemonade. If you can make some of that,
That actually makes a lot of sense. You brought it up a moment ago. I've been impressed with ASU's power play lately. Obviously, they struggled against Miami, but then they bounced back in a big way against North Dakota and CC. They've scored a power play goal in 4 straight. I think heading into the second CC game, they were like 7 of their last 12. And then they scored in both of those games, including a 3-for-3 performance on Friday. Like that unit is buzzing.
And you're doing so without Colin Potter, without Jack Beck, and some guys that hadn't played all season on the power play, and still going with the 5 forwards on that first unit. It looked really, really good, and providing opportunity for some of those young guys who want the spotlight. I want to be on the first or second power play. Haven't gotten that chance, and now they're making plays on it.
And they're grabbing it by the throat. Opportunity.
Carmelo Crandall's been unreal.
He's been really fun to watch come on as the season has progressed. Up next, St. Cloud State. Sneaky good team this year. They're making a late season push and still battling for positioning with ASU and others. You made the point last weekend, and we've talked about it a lot tonight, that this could be ASU's most important remaining series because of what the opportunity is, but also what happens afterwards, depending on the results of this series.
Yeah, and at the point we were talking about it before they got swept at home against Miami, they had NPI value too. They still do. They're right around where Arizona State is in the low 20s. So they still have some value as any team in the conference is going to have. But now that they're kind of licking their wounds, you got to find a way to stomp on that and continue to create more wounds for them to fix next week.
After that, I know we don't want to get too far ahead, but you have Western Michigan having to compete with the defending national champs, number 4 team in the country right now, top half of the NCHC. And I know you and I have heard so much over the last 2 years in particular how hard it is to play at Lawson. I don't know about you. I'm looking forward to it, but I know that will be a major test.
A major test, but as was shown this weekend, anybody can find a way to win there. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy for sure, but Omaha did.
Yeah, they found a way to win. Sun Devils play their penultimate home series this weekend against St. Cloud State, 7 o'clock puck drop Friday and 5 p.m. on Saturday. Pre-game coverage starts 30 minutes prior to puck drop. A couple thank yous before we go. Of course, to my broadcast partner, Alex Coil. Thanks to Greg Powers and Tucker Ness for coming on, Sean Crespin and his entire fantastic crew. We will talk to you on Friday at 6:30 with pregame coverage for ASU and St. Cloud State. I'm Tyler Paley, wishing everybody a good evening, and we'll talk to you Friday. Good night.